Now, we'll continue cynicism a bit longer because the PSVR2 sales, they are pretty slow so far. Bloomberg has reported that according to research firm IDC, PSVR2 is expected to sell only 270,000 headsets by the end of March, which falls short of the 2 million units that Sony reportedly produced for launch. So the vice president of data and analytics at IDC, Francisco Geronimo, he told Bloomberg that Sony, to him, this is his analysis of things, that Sony would need to implement a price cut in order to avoid a quote complete disaster. Now, I pulled up information for reference, got it from Wikipedia, but take that as you will. For reference, with the original PSVR, okay, the original PSVR released on October 13th, 2016. And remember, the original PSVR cost $400, but it only came with the controllers. Like you needed to, the controls in the headset. Or was it just the headset? I think you had to get like the other stuff separately. It didn't come with any game. It didn't come with the camera. I think it was the headset.
Yeah, it came with the camera.
It came with the camera.
Yeah,
there was something it did not come with.
It came with everything, but it was just like it was kind of a pain. But it was expensive, but it did come with everything you needed to play a game.
I could have swore there was something it did not come with that you had to buy separately. But regardless, neither here nor there. The PSVR released October 13th, 2016, and sold over 915,000 units as of February 19th, 2017. So in a 4-month period, it sold over 915,000 units, which was back then, according to Sony, far beyond their expectations. On June 15th, 2017, PSVR had passed 1 million units sold, and on December 3rd, 2017, a bit over a year after PSVR first came out, it was announced that the PSVR had sold over 2 million units. That's just for reference. We are now about a month past release of PSVR 2, and they were reportedly expecting to sell 2 million, but I've only sold 270,000.
2 million for launch.
Right. So
I don't know what that means as far as,
do they expect to sell all that by the end of March, or
they probably knew. I don't know how many months in advance. I'm sure once they started releasing pre-order data, I'm sure it got a little scary for them kind of early.
Yeah.
And then they were like, it was that traditional thing of like, oh, once it launches, word of mouth's going to be great, guys. We're going to blah, 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 yeah, just roll back that clip. What was that, a month ago, 2 months ago, where I just said this is going to be the Vita. Just play that. There's my sample statement. I was right again, guys. Sony, you want to avoid these failures, hire me.
Do you think a price cut's gonna happen though anytime soon? And by soon, let's say
I could see
soon,
holiday this year.
Well, okay, by for holiday, do you see it as like the standard holiday deals, or like no, it's like an actual price cut, permanent price cut?
I don't know if it's permanent, but instead of like a holiday, because the holiday deals a lot of times, especially for consoles, are bullshit. It's maybe just a free game, so it's like, oh, it's a $50 value, or sometimes it's $50. I could see them like just releasing for a 3-month period, like November through January, just being like, hey, it's $100 off, maybe even 150, like, or $100 with a free game. You know what I mean? I could see them just kind of getting desperate and doing something like that. If it's bad, if we get the summer version of that, and I know it's already bad, but like that's the desperation move. It's like, it's E3, guys. It's the days of play. That's what they call it whenever they would do the like, oh yeah, $50 off the console. So if they do that version with VR where they're like, free game and $50 off, it's $100 value. I could see something like that happening in the summer. That's when we know they're like if that happens internally, like someone's out there going, guys, we are fucked.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a financial analyst, so I don't know how likely I could say a price cut is to be. But if one was to happen, I think, the holiday season, like you said, is probably the most likely time. If it happened any earlier than, say, September, that'd be
could be I could be wrong. Instead of it could be a longer window. Instead of like November to January, it could be like September to December. I could see even,
Yeah. Oh my god. Imagine if they said there was a Spider-Man 2 PSVR2 mode. Imagine that.
Listen, that
Imagine that.
your dream announcement, but the monkey paw segment we had last week where I just started throwing things out as PS2 VR exclusives is becoming more terrifying.
But yeah, like if there was a price cut to happen, I can see it being like anywhere from $50 to $100 of sorts. And like this other the next question, like, do we honestly think that PSVR2 was a mistake? Because I've
Yes.
seen some people say yes, it was, no, it wasn't. I think I don't know if I'd say that continuing down the VR route was a mistake because I don't necessarily think it is. I think there's value to be had there. And I
Not from a
think
financial standpoint.
that's the thing. Most likely not from a financial standpoint, but like I think continuing VR2, I don't think it was a mistake, but maybe just releasing it at this time was a mistake. Like there's so many factors with it because like it's releasing at a time where the economy is just like inflation's crazy and cost of living is up and all like that. So like people have to be more cost efficient with what they're buying and everything like and all. And gaming's already a luxury. This is a super luxury item for gaming. You need a $500 console to even use the thing. So it's already a $1,000 investment at minimum. Like there's levels to it where it's like, all right, this and releasing at this point in time might not have been the best bet, but who's to say that even releasing a year from now might have been better? You know what
It
I mean?
wouldn't
Like,
have. Sony, I just want to take this moment. Sony, my affection can be bought. Send me a free unit, and I will probably say nice things about it. Until that moment comes, this was a mistake of maybe even bigger than probably Vita level disaster. And internally, don't get things twisted. Sony views that as a failure. They probably feel like they were jilted because the Steam Deck's popularity and the Switch. They probably feel like they were just ahead of their time. Whereas this, it's like you can't really do. VR existed, but this was a mistake. They're not manufacturing more right now. I would bet money on that. This is, folks, if you're a video game collector like myself, wait till this bad boy bottoms out. Let's get it at 250, maybe even less if you find it at like a pawn shop or something for dirt cheap. And then what we're gonna do is hold on to it because it'll have some value in the future, as a novelty. But until then, yeah, this thing is shit out of luck. Like I mean, we're talking they made 2 million. They sold 10% of that. Not even 10% of that.
yeah,
This
like
is
it's
bad, folks. This is
a bit more than
the
10%.
opposite of good.
Yeah, like I hope.
All VR projects that we were hoping, like Sony's probably got, my guess is actual native expensive first party titles. Sony's got 2 or 3 in the chamber. They were probably hopefully planning and like in the pre-production or like very early stages had another 2 or 3. Those are canceled. I'll just tell you guys that right now. I'll spoil that for you. They're gone. We're going to get those 2 or 3 and that's it. How many high production Vita titles were there? Like early on Sony first party, there was that wave and then they didn't come because Sony said, cut all ties with this thing. That's exactly what's going to happen. We might, and I swear to God, I'm Sony, turn on the TikTok camera. Sony, look me in the eyes. If you kill Astrobot because of your dumbass decision to double down on VR, I swear to God, I will become a primary Xbox player. You will stop getting my money if you let this. If it's in production right now as VR2, go ahead. I don't care what it costs. Delay it a little bit. It better also be compatible with the base PlayStation. I do not want your best franchise in forever, your best new franchise, your best new IP in forever. It's your like mascot for half your shit on your website. Do not kill this. Make it playable on the regular PlayStation. Do not let Astrobot die, or I will stop playing your damn machine and start Phil Spencer. I'm your guy if this happens.
See, like I've been worried since PSVR2 was announced that man, I hope it doesn't go the route of the Vita. I hope it doesn't go the route of the Vita. And then, all the like the kind of minimal promotion that it got, and then the release and what we're hearing here with the sales and all. I'm really saying even more now. Please, for the love of God, don't let this go the route of the Vita, because I think the only thing that can save this, in addition to a price cut, is actual support. I mean, I've been saying that. I've been saying that all this time. And maybe that is the hopeless optimist in
It's
me.
the hopeless optimist.
Maybe it is. But like actual support and a price cut could I imagine could definitely help this thing out. But like it needs better substantial, games, interesting, exciting games to get people in, not just ports of games from Quest 2 that are already out there. Like we are hearing about some cool
So
games that are coming to this,
here's
but there needs to be another killer
here's
app.
how I know here's how I know you're this it's why you're an
and
optimist.
and this
If you're
isn't
a
me being like a
developer,
Sony. This isn't me trying to be like a Sony fanboy or anything. I swear, this is me being like an optimist because I
yeah, I
like the
know.
technology and all like that.
If you're new here, this is just, he's being an optimist. It's who he is.
I
I'm the
am.
cynic here. I understand. I've been proven right a lot because if you'd like to be on team right, here you go. And I'm not gonna take all the credit for this point because actually, Jeff Gerstmann was talking about. I told you when I was listening that he's talking about VR and just like kind of the direness of VR in general, but also when he's talking about PlayStation, like or just any new VR headset. Why, if you're a developer, why are you making a game for PlayStation? Why? And as someone that would, think it's cool if this headset succeeds, which it will not. Just let's be clear, it has not and it will not. Best case scenario is honestly the Vita at this point because the Vita had a lot of support and passion behind it. Nobody gives a shit about this thing right now. But if you're a developer, why? The Quest 2 has a bigger install base, lower bar to entry for new people. And honestly, like you can probably make the game a little bit cheaper on Quest 2, I would assume, because it's all digital. I guess there is the aspect of you can potentially have retail copies out there. Small advantage for the PSVR2, but like, listen, like there's just no reason to develop a game. If you want a VR game, it's not going to be exclusive to PSVR. It's only the ones that Microsoft pays money for. And I'm telling you right now, anything that they paid for, they're like, oh, we're not getting our money back on that thing. They're literally like, they're cutting ties with it. This ship is sinking already.
I'm
Who
afraid
called
it
it?
is. I'm
And who
afraid it
called it like a
is.
month and a half ago? This guy. Who also is saying that Microsoft, I'm right, or not, my
Sony.
Sony, I'm right. I'm a man of my word. If you let this kill Astro, I swear to God.
Like I'm afraid that it's gonna go the route of the Vita. I've been afraid of that this entire time, and like this even more, just like fueling those fears. I don't
The
want
second
that
I
to
saw the
happen.
launch games and it was like, oh, this is it. Oh yeah, it's done. It's over.
I hope to
There wasn't a single
God.
reason to own it at launch. The
Oh,
Horizon game, they got mid-ass reviews. Yeah. It's just climbing. Okay, sure.
I hope it doesn't go that way. I hope it doesn't, man. It's hopeless optimist, shameless, hopeless optimist here. I'm sorry. I look for the best of things. I try to
By
look for
the
the
end of the
bright
year, that
side.
optimism will be beaten out of you.
It's gonna be like the episode SpongeBob
For
with
this
Squidward.
console specifically.
It's gonna be like the episode SpongeBob where Squidward went to the town of all squids and he was like, yeah, and then slowly but surely he was just like, oh dear God, dear God, this is my
It's you
life.
with every video game story the next 2 years.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. Hopefully though, it can live. Fingers crossed on this. You're just gonna sit there and beat me down.